Hi, this is Trey Passer, and welcome to my film series reviews. This is Volume One. Still, this is the second movie in my Planet of the Apes series review. Last week I um, reviewed the Planet of the Apes. Now this time I'm reviewing the second movie in the series, which is out of this box set. Which is see if I can pull it out here. Okay, let's see. Okay, there we go. Is Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Okay, that's the second film in the series. Okay, this one came out in 1970. And this one, the the scientists send a search party out to look for Taylor. They actually send another astronaut to look for Taylor because, of course, his ship crashed on the first movie. So they send somebody else, actually two people, out in another ship, to look for Taylor. Charlton Heston's character. Okay, and this person they send, of course, is played by James Franciscus. He plays Brent. Okay, now this movie is a sequel to the first one. Now there's a little backstory, a little history about this. Well, actually, let me tell you the story. Then I'll give you the backstory and stuff at the end. Anyway, so they basically send two more astronauts up in the ship, and they go through the same thing that Taylor did. They go through the time barrier, and they wind up on the planet, where the apes rule. Okay, and basically you have Brett looking for Taylor, okay, with the help of Nova, because if you see the beginning of this movie, Taylor disappears, okay, and so Nova is basically out there looking, and she comes upon the ship where Brent is. His pilot has died, his captain has died, so Brent's there alone, and he notices that Nova has the dog tags that we didn't see in the first movie around her neck that say Taylor, and he tries to communicate with her and tell her that he's Brent and he's looking for Taylor. But of course, she can't speak, but he manages to communicate, that he wants her to take him to where Taylor is. Okay, and she remembers in her mind that the last thing that because they show a brief flashback where Taylor tells her if she's ever in trouble to go see Zera, the chimpanzee who was kind to them in the first movie. So she basically leads him back, to the ape village where he sees, there's a big council meeting going on with chimpanzees sitting in one way, orangutans sitting their way, and gorillas sitting another way. And basically you have the I guess you would call the general from the gorilla army, Ursus. He's basically saying that the only human is a dead human, and basically that they need, because they're basically, I think, running out of food sources, so they have to go into the Forbidden Zone to basically get new resources and stuff because they're running out. And he basically says the only good human is a dead human. Okay, and he talks about how he sent out scouts already, and he's lost 11 men, and the 12th one's come back with his mind, completely scrambled. Okay, but the plan is basically they're going to march into the Forbidden Zone to find out what's there, and to find new land for ape civilization. Okay, so basically Brent and Zera, Brent and Nova run into Zera and Cornelius again, and they help them because Brent has been shot, and they help them, they provide aid for him, and they give him a map and tell him, that the last place they saw Taylor was going into the Forbidden Zone. Okay, so he basically heads out. They basically head out that way, but of course he gets caught. Okay, and returned back to Ape Village, where he promptly escapes again with the help of Zera. Okay, and then of course they make their way into the Forbidden City being chased by apes. They actually make their way to the underground city, where they actually discover there's actually humanoids that live underneath the ruins of New York City. There's a bunch of humans that live down there. Okay, and they actually have telekinetic powers. They don't actually talk. They can talk with their mind. They can talk with their mind. And basically, he finds out that they worship. Brett finds out that they're worshiping. Basically, they're worshiping bombs. They have not bomb. They're worshiping one big bomb actually. Okay, called the Alpha Omega, and he's trying to find out, of course, what happened to Taylor. And of course, they're trying to probe his mind to find out, does he know what the apes have planned? Because while they have telekinetic ability, they can't really work that well on the apes, and they can only throw up illusions. But they really have no real defense against the apes. Okay, and then of course he runs back into Taylor. Brent runs back into Taylor, and I don't want to ruin the rest of the movie because that's basically the gist of it. And other things happen which I don't want to spoil. But again, this was the sequel to Planet of the Apes, and this one movie was, you could say they cut the budget on this one. I think the budget originally for this one was I think it was supposed to be $5 million, but I think because I know the original movie budget was $5 million, but I think this budget for this movie was like I think $3 million, but they cut it I think down to $2 million because the studio at the time was going through a lot of financial problems. So they cut the problem, and then they had a lot of problems with the script. And of course, when they were planning on, making a sequel, because the first movie did so well, but of course they had issues because Charlton Heston, who was the star, didn't want to initially come back to do the movie because he thought that the story had been told in the way it ended, the first movie. So they, the producer, Darryl Zanuck, he actually called them up and tell them, can you do me a favor, because we stuck our neck out in the first movie, can you please do me a favor? And he did. He said, okay, I'll come, but under certain conditions, okay, which kind of play into the movie, which I don't want to spoil. So Charlton Heston did come back for the sequel, and then of course, so they had to get another star, James Franciscus, who plays Brent, to be the main star, who you see for most of the movie. Okay, and then also Roddy McDowall, who played Cornelius, he was directing a film in England, so he couldn't come back to the States to be in this, so they got another actor to play Cornelius in this. But their part was small in this movie. Cornelius and Zira, their parts were small compared to the first movie. Okay, but you had Dr. Zayas in this, and Ursa, played by James Gregory. They were the main kind of, I guess, apes in the story. And then like I said, you have the story of Brett trying to find Taylor with Nova, and then discovering the underground city with the telekinetic humans who were discovering the bomb. And then you also have the apes marching on the Forbidden City, and you have that clash between them and the telekinetic humans that live underneath the city, and that's the gist of the story. And it's a decent movie. I don't think it's as good as the original. Like I said, I like all ape movies and stuff, and I like General Ursa for some reason. I like the look with the big hat, got the big war hat on, and then I like him. I like the way he spoke. And again, you had Maurice Evans as Dr. Zayas, who was still there, still trying to give out advice and stuff. And like I said, I thought James Franciscus did a good job as Brent with what he had. And if you look at the behind the scenes, I looked at behind the scenes that's on this video. They talk about how him and the director Ted Post had to get together, and a lot of hands went through the script. Okay, there were a lot of different people. The original story, they went back and they got the writer of the original novel to write a script for the sequel. But in his story, I think what happened was Taylor and Nova started a new civilization. They ran into more humans, and they started a new civilization. Then his son, Taylor and Nova's son, actually led a rebellion against the apes and basically conquered the apes on that planet. And basically at the end, you see Dr. Zayas in their version of it in the zoo, which that's a crazy version. But obviously that version didn't work, or they didn't want to go with that version, so they scrapped that and brought in other writers and had the director Ted Post contribute to it. And like I said, you had also James Franciscus, who didn't like the way his character was portrayed, so he actually contributed as well to the story. And also, like I said, Charlton Heston initially wasn't going to come back because he thought the story had been told, but he did come back after the producer appealed to him, and under only certain conditions, which I don't want to spoil. So he did come back for this movie. But I think this movie is just a slight, little lesser than the original. The original Planet of the Apes was just great. This movie, like I said, that original Planet of the Apes I gave a 9. This one I would give a I would give it a 7. It's not as good, but it's not as bad as some people make it out to be. Okay, and actually, um, this movie was actually supposed to be the end. If you watch the way the movie ends, you think this would be the end of it, but of course it wasn't. Of course, there was other movies to come. Okay, and what I'll be reviewing. So let me know what you think of Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And next week I'll be here to review the third movie in the series, Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Okay, that'll be the next movie on my Planet of the Apes series that I'll be reviewing. Okay, so feel free to leave comments down below. And this is Trey Passer saying so long and take care.